Okay, so I wanted to get on here to talk about the issue of misnomers in the fitness space, primarily in the strength space. There are two things that I wanted to give solution-wise. One is the English solutions that I could foresee being a good replacement for these things. Second one being the Greek version, because already we derive so many of our terms in the fitness space from Greek, or even in the scientific community in general. To name a few, there's, plyometrics, Olympic weightlifting, athletics, biomechanics, etc. Following that trend, I think it would be useful to find new terms for things that don't have the best matches linguistically. So starting with English, got a little paper here. The English one would be starting with Olympic weightlifting. So it's not just in the Olympics anymore. It's readily available thanks to CrossFit. So we would want to find a term that better describes that, and I would have that be powerlifting, because it legitimately tests one's rate or force production, which is what power is, versus strictly force production, which is what current powerlifting, the squat, bench, and deadlift does. So what would the current powerlifting be named? It would be called strengthlifting, because it's a legitimate test of strength. But there's already a strengthlifting event. It's instead of the squat, bench, and deadlift, it's a squat, overhead press, and deadlift. So I just had a single term that I came up with, and it was just altlifting, because it's an alternative to the bench press. Not the best or most creative, but it's all I could really think of. Not to be confused with oddlifting, which is odd objects like atlas stones and stuff like that, or even just off-weight stuff. Moving into the second portion is the Greek version of terms. For that, I have a couple of things, starting with strength training. I wanted to have the term Ischyrosis. Ischyros meaning strength, just flat out. Osis is the state or process of something. So the process of strength would be Ischyrosis. Second one would be Olympic weightlifting. We could have that be what I would call Barodynetics. Baro meaning weight. Dynametics is a combination of Dynamos or Dynamos, which is just the power of a force. And ix is just like the suffix that Greeks use a lot, just like with athletics or plyometrics and biomechanics and stuff. So barodynetics would be very helpful of a term for Olympic weightlifting. Powerlifting could be Ischymetrics. So Ischyros is, just like I said, for strength training, strength, and metrics is the test or the measuring of something, just like with plyometrics. So Ischymetrics could be the strength competition measuring. For power sports, so shot put, javelin, discus, hammer, even to an extent Olympic weightlifting. It could be either Dynametics, okay, so Dynamos, that same prefix as previously, and then ix is just a suffix, or Dynametrics, so it's just the measuring of force or power, okay, or yeah, force production or power. And then here's the big one that I wanted to bring up, because not a lot of people address this, is athletic training, okay? So what comes to mind for most people is things like cone drills, or even ladder stuff, box jumps, depth jumps, even, quick reaction time stuff like ball catching and stuff like that. But the sport or the practice of fitness inherently is athletic training. Everybody in the Olympics, even if they can, barely run a mile, are still considered athletes. Okay, so we need to have something that's more specific to those things, the SAQ and the plyometrics. And I have three linguistic solutions. One of them is being Plyokinetics. So it's that Plyos, which is already in plyometrics, which is multiplication, just like multiply. So it's the multiplication of movement, or explosiveness in movement. The second one would be Tachytics. Tachýs is swiftness or quickness, and then that ix, that suffix that we talked about. The third one would be Plyotachytics. So it's that multiplication of force garnered from the plyo. And then Tachytics is that swiftness or quickness that we talked about. So it's both explosiveness and swiftness in a single term is Plyotachytics. Doesn't roll off the tongue the best, but I think that it would be better than nothing. So yeah, that's what I've got. Let me know what you guys think.